very own home now. Oh. Quick, go along, as...
You look to be unkindled. No bell tolls. And yet you've slipped into the painting. Oh, no matter. If you've lost your way, The words of Lady Frida will guide you. Now, go on inside, show respect, and listen carefully. What's keeping you? Go on. Right inside. Show respect. And let...
Welcome to the painted world of Ariandel. I am Frida. I have long stood beside our blessed father, but forlorn thou seemeth not. Ashen One, I know not the missteps which led thee to this painted world. But thy duty is all, and thy duty lieth elsewhere. Return from whence thou camest. I presume it visible to thee, the bonfire here in this room. A meek and faded thing, but 'twill guide thee nonetheless. Ah, yes, there is a thing thou shouldst by rights possess. Ours is a chance encounter, to be sure, but perhaps it was meant to be. Let this be a remembrance of this cold world, a thing to help thee bear thy duty. Now, return from whence thou camest. Thou'st a place in that world, and that alone is cause to rejoice.
is nothing forlorn about you. You must be the other Ash, I suppose. Oh, finally, you have come. Oh, wondrous Ash, grant us our wish. Make the tales true, and Bird, my lady, must see flame. And you are Ash. Surely you have seen but that love, so make my... Oh, like...
So the people who write these things are called bookers. So the bookers had come up with this storyline, and then the affair became real because the brain couldn't sort of manage all of the deception. Sometimes you get
the two people actually got together,
right?
Because they were supposed to hang out and pretend,
right?
And they're like, let's just do this shit,
right? And so, oddly, I was fascinated by the moment where Vince McMahon declared, I think, to the New Jersey Sporting Commission. He made this unbelievable, this is like one of the great moments of the 20th century, I think. He realized that he was going to be taxed into oblivion. And so he had a choice. Should he pay this tax or do something really bold? And he went in front of them and he said, you realize that everything we do is fake. Now that could have completely toppled the wrestling world. The admission that there was no reality to this was a potential death blow. So he said, this is all staged. All the fights are the winners are known in advance. You can't tax us because we aren't actually a sport and you don't have any jurisdiction over us. And then it turned out nobody cared. Right? And so the interesting thing is that you used to have this concept of a smark. A mark is somebody who doesn't know they're being conned. A smart mark, or smark, is somebody who knows that they're being conned and still continues to play. So in some sense, it was the bet that you could take all the marks and turn them into smarks, and the business empire would continue, and you wouldn't have to pay the tax. So I was hanging out, as one does with Hulk Hogan, and I was trying to check whether or not this was true, and he said to me, Eric, you realize who came up with that strategy? Me. So I was like, what? So he says, yeah, I was the one who said that we should...
Do you believe him?
I don't know.
It's hard to tell.
Well, that's the whole point about kayfabe.
Yeah, that's where it gets weird. Did you ever see the interview where John Stossel was accusing a professional wrestler of it being fake, so he decided to smack him in the head and ask him if that was fake? It's really horrific. because he ruptured his eardrum. I mean, this is an enormous man. I forget the guy. It ruined the guy's career. The guy who was the wrestler. But he hits him with an open hand. I mean, it's an enormous guy. Full blast. Hits him on the head with this open hand and drops him. He goes, was that fake? Was that fake? Get up, pussy. And he goes, is that fake? And he hits him again and drops him again. Was that fake?
Well, okay, let's talk about this. I don't think professional wrestling is fake.
What the fuck are you saying?
Well,
I know what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, here it is. This is it. This is the guy. We'll play it so we can hear what he's saying. Okay, we'll get into trouble here with YouTube. But he hits him in the side of the head, and then he hits him again.
It's Dr. D, I think Dr. Death or something.
That fucked him up, right? Is that him right there? Is that the guy now? Jesus Christ, time is a cruel bitch. Is that the same guy? Is that him? Jesus Christ. Yeah. Legendary wrestler, bounty hunter, and author of Don't Call Me Fake. Dr. David Schultz goes into detail about the
professional
infamous 2020 incident where he slapped John Stossel. Look, he's got a t-shirt on it about it and everything. Jesus Christ, it's his whole life now.
Yeah, well, this is moment. It's not fake.
No, it's orchestrated.
The results are known in advance. The death rate of those guys is like nothing else. You'd have to look to like wingsuit flyers to see people who die at the level that professional wrestlers do. The punishment that they take. And, weirdly, the skill level. Hulk Hogan put me in a headlock.
Why did you let him do that? Did you ever see what he did to Richard Belzer?
I'm sorry. I know that he's said and done bad things, but there's so much love that comes pouring out of Hulk Hogan. And
I agree, brother. No, anyway, he's a great guy, but he put Belzer to sleep on his television show, and Belzer fell and bounced his head off the ground.
Hulk had me in a headlock.
Why did
and
you allow that?
I know that if that guy had so much as sneezed, my head would have just popped off of my trunk.
Right.
I mean, that guy's a beast.
He's a huge man.
He's a huge man.
Yeah. He's lost like 4 inches of height because of all his back surgeries.
Yeah.
He was even, I first met him like way, way, way back in the day. I ran into him. I didn't meet him. I just ran into him on the street in Beverly Hills. I was like, holy fuck. And then I interviewed him for Spike TV back in the day when Spike TV was, they were doing professional wrestling on Spike TV, and they wanted me to interview him while I was doing the UFC. So I interviewed, we had a fun time together. But he was considerably smaller. It was really interesting. It's like, that was just about it. There's Belzer. So you put Belzer in what we would call like a power guillotine. And look, Belzer's out cold right here. Watch the left arm. There it is, out cold. So watch, he just drops him. That could have killed him. That part right there, where he falls and he bangs his head off the ground, like, he just dropped him like he was on a padded mat or something like that. You really should never do that to someone. But they don't worry about themselves because they put themselves in so much danger.
The thing.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are the punishment kings of the world.
Yeah.
And they're extremophiles in that sense. Now, what my belief is that we are... It's real in the sense that the injuries, the death rate, skill levels, and most of those guys could really fight. They may not be UFC level fighters, but a lot of them come out of wrestling backgrounds.
Yes.
Like legitimate.
A lot of them are very, very tough guys.
So I think, what was it, in 2013 or 11, John Brockman asked the question, what's the scientific theory that nobody knows that would make the biggest impact in people's cognitive toolkit? And I'd just been allowed to answer this question along with like actual legitimate people. And so I was kind of like being very protective. And my wife said, you could give a lot of answers to that question, but that's not the one you want to give. Do kayfabe. Like I had this theory that kayfabe was the most important psychological theory that nobody really appreciated. That in some sense, professional wrestling is light years ahead in understanding how the human mind actually works because of the issues of that deception. And so I wrote up kayfabe, which is going to determine wars and presidential elections, and then sure enough, Donald Trump comes directly out of WWE. Like, he really understands. If you look at that fight with Vince McMahon, Donald Trump intuits professional wrestling, and it is a superpower. Jamie, can I ask you to bring up Weinstein and kayfabe and see if...
2011. What scientific concept would improve everybody's cognitive toolkit? Eric Weinstein.
So I thought it was going to be thrown out, and in fact, that turned out to be a very prophetic essay.
Well, for sure, once Trump got into office. I mean, that is an excellent point of what he does, is that there's a part of his appeal is that he's speaking in, he's hitting a certain frequency that provides comfort, and it narrows the boundaries of what's possible and puts things into some very digestible form that morons love. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm not saying that all people that are Trump supporters are morons. There's people that support him economically. But there's a lot of people that are morons that like him because he's talking in this frequency. There's a narrow band. He's not going to say anything crazy that's like self-deprecating or introspective, or he's not going to prepare you for the great beyond, or, include you in his concerns for the demise of civilization and Western values. That's not in him. Right? He's got a bandwidth. He's got a very narrow band, and inside that band, he's the king. Ratings are tremendous. Everyone's doing a great job. We're doing a great job. He says these things that they reinforce this sort of pro wrestling sort of vibration.
Somewhat. I have to admit that I don't meet many morons at all.
You should come to Comedy Store more often. Bring it back up. I'll bring you around some morons.
No.
Sure.
Joe, you don't even believe that. I think that in general, people, when they are given no choice at all, express themselves moronically.
When they're given no choice at all.
Yeah. I want a choice of an actual president that's viable. I don't have one. So then you're going to ask me, well, which of the non-viable people do you like best?
Well, this is the real issue with the Democratic Party. They've essentially made us all morons.
Yeah.
With this Joe Biden thing. They really have. They've made us all morons.
Who do we need? I mean,
I can't vote for that guy.
I can't vote for him.
I can't vote for him.
I can't vote for Trump.
I'd rather vote for Trump than him. I don't think he could handle anything. I mean, you're relying entirely on his cabinet. Like, if you want to talk about an individual leader that can communicate, he can't do that. And we don't even know what the fuck he's going to be like after a year in office. The pressure of being the president of the United States is something that no one has ever prepared for.
Right.
The only one who seems to be fine with it is Trump, oddly enough. I mean, he doesn't seem to be aging at all or in any sort of decline. Obama, almost immediately started looking older.
Yeah.
George W. almost immediately started looking older.
I think that this is not a change in Trump. Like, Trump, in a weird way, has just always been this performative, like a fake alpha.
Right, and he still plays golf all the time. Like, he hasn't switched up much. I mean, I'm sure he switched it up a little bit because of the pandemic, because he's apparently a germaphobe, which is hilarious. That this could be his demise. I mean, isn't that kind of hilarious? That might be what does him in. The guy's always been worried about germs, apparently.
How does that work with his active extracurricular life?
I don't know. I guess he wears condoms.
I wouldn't have imagined Stormy Daniels would be the person that you would have chosen first. Then it's very strange.
She was a hot lady back in the day.
Well, it's not a question of that. It's just that she was also an active one.
Yeah.
If you're keen to his transmission, I mean, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying as a vector of communication.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good question.
And of course, the porn industry weirdly has very high health standards at one level because it would have to.
Right. Maybe that's his rationale, that they're tested.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I had Ashley Matthews on my program, and she was, talking to me about
Who's Ashley Matthews?
The woman behind Riley Reid.
Oh, okay.
And
how hilarious is that? That's her pro wrestling name.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that she'd used her name fully until we were talking, and I said that I didn't want to interview Riley Reid. I wanted to interview Ashley Matthews.
Whoa. How'd that go?
She was good. I mean, she it was a bit of a mismatch but she is polite and sweet to a fault. She's trying to be thoughtful. I really admire her courage. She doesn't want body augmentation, so she's got a non-classical porn body. She, chose to do a trans scene because it was erotically interesting to her, even though she was told that it would kill her brand. She doesn't necessarily. Sometimes she shaves her body hair. Sometimes she doesn't.
Hey.
So there's a lot of what she does that I think is incredibly admirable. And I got to know of her because she came to a show that I did with Ben Shapiro and Sam Harris in San Francisco, and she was tweeting out that she was a huge Sam Harris fan. And then I saw something she did where she was talking about it was impossible for her to get banking and regular services as a pornographic actress. And
Banking?
yeah, there's remember Operation Choke Point?
No.
Operation Choke Point was, I think, an Obama-era Department of Justice initiative to try to make it very difficult to engage in legal occupations like payday lending and things, or porn. And so
Porn?
they would. I think they used the FDIC to harass credit card companies and banks into not making it easy for these people to gain access to ordinary services. So I've been very concerned about the ways in which the authoritarians attempt to regulate who can do what, who can say what, where, get banking, behave,
But so that's still going on to this day?
Yeah, to
like
an
she
extent.
has a difficulty getting banking?
Like she can't get, I think MailChimp won't work with her because she's a pornographic actress. And then
in terms of mailing lists.
Yeah, and then there's chargeback issues where marginal businesses, people will cancel their credit cards, but in fact, if you're doing a business where very few people are canceling the credit cards, they'll still claim that they won't work with you because of the risk of cancellation. So there's this whole thing where we harass and tax.
PayPal payouts no longer supported. What is this, Jamie? What's this from?
From Pornhub's blog, yeah.
We're all devastated by PayPal's decision to stop payouts to over 100,000 performers who rely on them for their livelihoods. If you have PayPal as your payout option, please select a new method and update your information in your model settings tab. If you have a pending payment for October, blah, 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 blah. So this is because of porn. Canadian okay, so this is, but hold on a second. Is this prostitution? Is that why this payout thing?
I believe that once upon a time, the San Fernando Valley was the head of prostitution, head of pornographic acting and movie production because it couldn't be charged as prostitution. Now, as prostitution.
Yeah.
Now, Ashley makes the point that she's comfortable being called a commercial sex worker, so in some sense, prostitution adjacent, but not prostitution. And to your question about how did that go, I was quite nervous about having a pornographic actress as a guest. I did it, in fact, right after Sir Roger Penrose, so it was one of the better transitions.
I like it.
Thank you for my next trick. I think it's important that we talk about porn, and I think it's important that if this is going to have a huge effect, like dark matter, you feel its gravitational effect, but nobody can actually see it because we can't talk about it.
Right.
I think that it's absolutely imperative that we make more connection to Planet Porn and talk about what's going on, what does it say about us, and the ways in which, they've got great data. The way OkCupid has great data on what's going on in the world of courtship. Porn has great data on what's going on in the world of kink and eroticism.
Yeah.
And, for example, she pointed out that incest porn surges around the holidays when people are spending time with their families.
What? Wow.
And incest porn is a cancer that I don't think we're even talking about that's gotten really, really pronounced.
Yeah, well, all taboo porns. Stepmom porn, that kind of stuff. Stepsister. Yeah, there's something about, I hear, but there's something about those things that for people, it's like there's so much porn that this is the last taboo. The last taboo is your dad marries this hot lady.
Oh, God.
And then your dad's
Can't we
like,
have
son,
one taboo?
I want you to have a good time with your mom. I'm going to go off golfing. And dad leaves. And
stop.
Yeah.
I think it was your line. You could do one eyebrow, right? You just did two at me.
What's that?
The Sean Connery one eyebrow lift.
Yeah, I can do one eyebrow. Yeah.
Where was I? Focus.
Something about a line? Porn.
Crossing of lines. Don't remember.
Damn. It's the end of
Sorry.
that.
It's that neuron. It's just,
You don't even smoke pot.
What?
I wanted to talk. I said you don't even smoke pot, hardly. I wanted to talk to you about one of your podcasts I listened to at least recently.
You listen to a podcast?
Yeah.
I
It's
didn't know that.
controversial. The O'Keefe podcast.
Okay.
The Project Veritas guy.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one because you had a really good point in that people, when they hear that this is a Project Veritas thing, and for people who don't know who he is, James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, they've done a lot of work exposing some biases that are held by some of the people that work in these social media groups, social media corporations like Twitter and Facebook and things like that.
Yeah.
But the way they've done it is all through hidden camera type stuff. And there's a narrative that people love to use where they go, oh, that guy, he uses selective editing, or that guy, you can't believe anything they say.
Everything he says is wrong.
But that is impossible.
Impossible.
Because you're listening to these people talking, and they're talking about how they marginalize right-wing viewpoints. They look for people who have, like, MAGA in their headline, and they put them in certain categories where it makes it very difficult for people to get their stuff that the algorithm supports, that they know how to marginalize these perspectives and these points of view. And it's really weird that they've found this strange way of describing it, where even though you see it on video, you hear people say things that should be outrageous to anyone who believes in objective reality. And yet, people love to say that's just a Project Veritas thing, that guy's full of shit. And they go, oh, he's full of shit, good. And then they cast it aside.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I want to take risk, and that was a huge risk.
Yeah,
because
it's a
part of the
risky
thing
one.
is that if you touch these worlds. By the way, can I try one of these CBD things?
Yeah, well, they're not in the fridge. This is the last one. Can you get one? Tell Jeff to get some of the CBD Kill Cliffs. They're very addictive. I'm going to warn you right now.
All right.
25 milligrams CBD.
Okay. I have a friend who cannot come to the United States ever because he attempted to come in with some CBD, which is not psychoactive.
Shut the fuck up.
From the UK.
Come on. He can't come in the U.S. ever?
I believe.
They can't appeal that? I mean, now that CBD is legal here?
Well, his mom is Amanda Fielding. Do you know who Amanda Fielding is?
Yes.
Do you love Amanda Fielding?
No. Explain who Amanda Fielding is.
Amanda Fielding, Countess Amanda Fielding, is the head of the Beckley Foundation for the scientific study of psychedelic and related substances in the UK, who I think works with Imperial College.
She's an older lady, right?
Oh, yeah. And she's self-trepanned.
Right.
So
that's right. You told me about this.
Yeah, she's put 2 holes in her skull, and her husband, Lord Jamie, or is he Earl Jamie? Maybe he's Earl Jamie. I'm sorry, I don't know these things.
Okay.
He's trepanned as well.
Oh, great.
And they are 2 of the most lovely, learned, wonderful people in the world.
What's the benefit of self-trepanation or trepanation in general? Oh, Jesus Christ, there's a video of her doing it?
Yeah, I think it's called something like A Hole in My Head.
What is that? It looks like she did it with a stick.
Yeah, or something. She did it herself. She had her own tools.
Why did she do that?
First of all, when you are British aristocracy, this is what you do.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yes, you do.
Sometimes you go on vacation.
No.
This lady's crazy. Jesus Christ, look at that fucking hole she put in her head. So she drilled right through her skull.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, the reason she did it, and I think it's an interesting one.
Oh, please.
Joe, come on, don't be judgmental. The belief that she had was that your brain expands to fill your brain case, and that when it runs into a hard stop, that the blood circulation has changed, and that when the blood circulation changes, you lose that sparkling clarity that comes from your sort of childhood. And so if you remember how clear the world was when you were a kid, her belief was by relieving the pressure from the brain case that you actually get a kind of permanent upgrade in your cognition and the level at which you're experiencing all of reality.
Is that true?
I don't know. I'm not self-trepanned. I have not drilled a hole in my head.
Did she say that this was like an effective method?
I think both she and Jamie say that it's been very positive.
the fuck out of here with that.
Wow.
This is a different flavor. We got a grape flavor here. 25 milligrams CBD. That's crazy, though. So this guy is permanently barred, cheers, sir, without having anything in there.
Yeah.
Permanently barred from the United States because of that? CBD, non-psychoactive.
Right.
Maybe they just knew his mom was a nut job that drills holes.
She's not a nut job.
Oh.
She was, in fact, the one who changed my mind about psychedelics.
She changed them?
Yeah, I was totally opposed to them.
Wish I was there. Show you it could be done without having a hole in your head.
I said, Amanda, you've been taking LSD regularly? Oh yes, since the late 60s. I said, well, how is it that you seem to be completely all there? She said, oh, it really doesn't have any negative effects. And
well,
wait. I'm trying to race through the story rather than being perfectly accurate. I said, then what did we get wrong in the 60s? She said, oh, dosages. I said, what do you mean? Those dosages were moronic. And so people were just putting huge amounts of LSD in things and having terrible experiences. And I thought, well, okay, this is she's crazy because I know it's acid. And so I just had this image that you pour acid on a brain and it turns it into Emmentaler cheese with lots of the holes. And sure enough, like, we don't even know what the lethal dosage of LSD is.
Right.
At a physiological rather than at a software level, it seems to be incredibly well tolerated because it's the only thing that has this effect in such tiny trace amounts.
Yeah, it's the same as psilocybin, the LD50s. It's outrageous. You have to eat pounds of it.
And so she changed my mind where I realized that I'd been thoroughly propagandized and that I had never examined my beliefs around these chemicals. And that, in fact, many of the most powerful appear to be very well tolerated.
Yes, yeah, the most powerful ones, in fact. But they're also the ones that most closely resemble human neurochemistry.
So,
which is weird, too.
So I think that, look, I'm a fan of eccentrics, as are you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't think Amanda's crazy.
She's definitely crazy. Oh. She drilled holes in her head.
Oh, it gets weirder than that.
What else?
She had a pet bird called Birdie, and she built a mausoleum to her pet bird in the form of some sort of a conical earth outcropping that, in order to reach it, I think you have to walk over Doric columns that cross them, like, these old columns from Greek temples.
Oh, okay.
And so the tops of them form steps across a moat, and it's guarded by attack swans. So, like, you can take nothing at all psychoactive, and then you're visiting this woman, visiting her bird's mausoleum, being attacked by swans, walking over Greek columns to cross a moat.
Yeah, but that's just fun. Drilling holes in your head is really, really where I draw the line.
Cheers to that.
That just seems... I mean, I don't think there's any real science to relieving pressure by drilling a fucking hole in your head. I think you're just relieved by the fact that you've taken this really radical step outside the norm and decided you're going to be the person who drills a fucking hole in your head.
I'm sorry, I'm Team Amanda Fielding. She may have made a crazy decision in her life, but...
Does she keep doing it every now and then?
No,
drill a new hole?
It's like plastic surgery. You get addicted to it. Pretty soon there's nothing but the dirt.
Just holes.
Yeah.
Swiss cheese head.
No, these are two of the most lovely and cerebral people around. And
was she on acid when she drilled the hole?
I doubt it. I mean, I don't think she's... Sorry, I think she's as eccentric as the day is long, but I'm such an admirer of people who are willing to try to cross the adaptive valley.
I've seen your kind. Time and time again. Every fleeing man must be caught. Every secret must be unearthed. Such is the conceit of the self-proclaimed seeker of truth. But in the end, you lack the stomach for the agony that you'll bring upon yourself. Swore an oath, but I have failed you, Lady Elfrida.
I believe I feel the scent of ash upon thee. Thou art the one of whom Uncle Gale spoke, the one to show me flame. 'Tis good. When this is done, may I return. The door is open thanks to thee. 'Tis good. I'll head off to paint. I promised Uncle Gale I would. 'Tis good. The door